Hi guys, so today's video is about research methods. We're particularly going to be looking at the terminology that you need to understand when talking about research methods. Research methods are a vitally important part of sociology. They will appear on all 4 sections of the exam paper. So family, education, crime and deviance, and social stratification. All of those areas will have questions relating to research methods. So it's really important that you understand how to use this terminology and use it accurately in your work. So our first key concept is validity, and validity can be seen as truthfulness, how close you are to the truth of that person. So very often when we conduct something like a questionnaire, for example, we will have a set of answers to choose from. And it may well be that the answer you want to choose is not there. So for example, if I was to ask you what is your favourite colour, red or blue, you're forced to choose either red or blue when actually your favourite colour might be purple. So validity is about truthfulness, and the sorts of methods which allow us more freedom in our answers are more likely to produce valid results. So, for example, open-ended questions on, let's say, an unstructured interview would allow you to completely freely give exactly what you think. So validity is about that truthfulness, being able to fully express exactly what you think and being able to understand what the respondent actually means with what they say. Reliability then is like the other side of the coin. If a study is valid, quite often it is not going to be reliable, because by reliability we mean repeatability. Can you do that test again and get roughly the same results? So the example that I mentioned on the last slide, what's your favourite colour? If I ask 100 people, what is your favourite colour, red or blue? Then I ask another 100 people exactly the same question, I'm going to get roughly the same results. Whereas if I ask the open question, which gains the valid answer, the chances are every different group of people I ask, I will get a different set of results. So reliability refers to repeatability. Can you ask the same questions to another group of people and get roughly the same results? Things like official statistics are reliable because they are done on large scale over the whole population very often. Every single year they can be compared, and because they're asking the same limited questions each time, you are able to get that element of reliability. Make sure if you are referring to validity or reliability, never ever use both. Okay, as far as you are concerned as GCSE students, a piece of research cannot be both valid and reliable. It is one or the other, and make sure you pick the right one. Okay, so validity is truthfulness, reliability is repeatability. Our next key term then is representative. So, if you are going to do a piece of research, you want your sample, and we'll talk about sampling in a future video, to be representative of the population that you are interested in. So if you are only interested in Asian males aged 14, then it is absolutely fine for your whole sample to be 14-year-old Asian males. However, if you are interested in all of the students at Littleover, then you would need to have a sample that was representative of that, with different age groups, different genders, different ethnicities. So representative refers to how closely your sample represents the population that you are interested in. Our next term then is ethics. Okay, be very clear, this is not anything at all to do with ethnicity. Lots of people make that mistake. Ethics is entirely different. And ethics is a vital part of sociological research. The British Sociological Association sets out certain ethical considerations that need to be made in order to conduct an ethical piece of research. So it's vitally important that we do nothing whatsoever that might harm our participants. And there are 4 elements of ethics. So the first, anonymity, is about protecting your respondents' identities. There should be no way of anybody identifying who they are and having their research sort of come back to bite them. Classic example of this is James Patrick. James Patrick did a Glasgow Gang Observed, where he spent time as a participant observer with a gang in Glasgow in the 1960s. And not only did he change the names of all of the participants, but he waited almost a decade before publishing his results, so that by the time his book was published, there was no way of identifying who those lads that were involved in the gang were. So really, really important that we maintain the anonymity of our respondents. Had he not done, they could have been liable to being arrested for the crimes that they'd committed as part of the gang. The next one then, preventing harm, is about sort of not just physical harm, but also social, emotional, mental harm. It's really important that you do not damage the participants in your research in any way. So the classic example that I often use for this is sociology is often perceived as being a mainly female subject. Mostly females take it. If I was to ask a male member of the group, how does it feel taking a girl's subject? I would be causing them psychological harm by getting them to question whether they've made the right decision in taking sociology. By the way, you have. And by making them feel maybe less masculine, somehow questioning their masculinity, that is going to affect their emotional well-being. So vitally important that we do not do anything which might harm the participants in any way. The third one, informed consent. Really, really important that all of the participants know exactly what they are letting themselves in for. So you need to make sure that they know what you are doing, what you are interested in, what you're studying, why you've asked them to become involved, and importantly, the fact that they have the right to withdraw at any time. Obviously, you'll need to put a date on it because at a certain point your research is going to be published and they can't withdraw after that. But up until that point, they have the right to withdraw. Annoying as it is, even if they decide on the day that they don't want their results to be used anymore, you would have to go back through all of your research and pull out all of their data. So informed consent is about knowing what they are taking part in and giving their full informed permission for that to happen, knowing full well that they can withdraw at any point. And finally, accurate reporting. Seems to be obvious, but you'd be amazed at how many sociologists don't follow through on this one. Durkheim is a classic example. He used to ignore data that didn't fit with what he wanted to find. Really important that you use all of the data, you include all of the data, and that you report it accurately. Some of that data may be in quantitative form, so that's in number form. So this is really easy to analyse. One of the big advantages of quantitative data is the ease of analysis. You can turn it into charts, tables, graphs, and you can easily compare the information. So quantitative data tends to be reliable, tends to be the type of data where you can go back, do the research again and get roughly the same results. The other form of data then is qualitative. That is data in a word form. So when people are given freedom to fully express exactly what they think, that data, as we discussed earlier, will be valid. So qualitative data, such as unstructured interviews, is more valid. Okay, it produces lots and lots of very rich data, but it makes it incredibly difficult to analyse. Very, very difficult to compare different people's responses and difficult to sort of put into a format that is easy to understand. Quite complex data. So hopefully you're happy then with that terminology. We're going to be using that terminology regularly over the next series of videos, so make sure that you understand what each of those terms means and try and use them accurately as often as possible so that when you come to the exam, you know exactly what you are talking about. Thank you very much, guys.